Planted behind me are the seedlings of Oregon's famous Pinot Noir grapes, by far the most farmed wine grape in the region. Production of these grapes went up 14% last year, causing prices to decline and making winemakers and drinkers alike very happy. This is Dustin Turner for Oregon News. A TriMet bus driver in Portland came to the rescue of a woman in danger yesterday. Larry Porter left his Line 24 bus to aid a woman he saw being beaten. The driver says he saw the attacker repeatedly punch the woman. The victim left before police arrived, but according to Porter, she told him the argument began over a cell phone. No arrests have been made.
In our next piece, Dustin Turner checked out a unique program offered by the U of O's Architecture and Allied Arts Department. Dustin, is there anything you want to say before we show your report?
Yeah, Eric, I just want to thank everyone in the product design department for being so open with the information they gave me about all the work the students did. It's a really unique program, and I was really excited to do the story.
Well, thanks, Dustin. Now let's take a closer look at what this product design program is all about.
Last winter, 16 design students from the UO's Architecture and Allied Arts Department teamed with Nike representatives along with disabled athletes to develop new prototypes that would enable the athletes to compete at the highest level possible. Headlining the staff were current Nike product designer Wilson Smith, along with a former shoe designer for Nike and Adidas in Bob Lucas. Lucas and his colleagues were discussing the possibilities for the class when the topic of prosthetics came up.
And then we talked a lot about, we got on the topic of the wars winding down in Iraq and all these servicemen coming back that had prosthetics. And they just get issued these prosthetics that they can kind of walk around a bit, but they can't do sport. And we thought, well, that's a cool avenue of athletes with disabilities. What can we do?
Lucas, along with Nike product designer Wilson Smith, found 4 local athletes to participate in the class. Joe Rosenbaum, a Paralympian triathlete who lost the use of his right arm in a ski accident. Gabriela Rosales, an ultramarathon runner who was born with an underdeveloped right arm. Brandon Robbins, who is an extreme sport athlete who lost his lower leg in a car accident. And Will Grew, who plays wheelchair rugby for the U.S. Paralympic team. He was paralyzed from the chest down following a motorcycle accident.
And it was just really exciting to see the projects that came out. It was, I really think there was some kind of an extra force going behind their work. I think sometimes empathy can really infuse a lot of passion and drive, and I think that was what motivated a lot of the students.
Design student Jake Fromer may have been motivated by empathy when he devised a prototype for Will that would finally allow him to stand up.
This is a prototype for a standing wheelchair that I made for Will Grew. This is a prototype for a standing wheelchair that would erect the user with a hydraulic lift with these handlebars. So in the seated position, the user would then lift these handlebars, and that would activate the hydraulic lift like the back of a trunk car. And being a quadriplegic, you can't stand up, and there are a lot of problems with not being able to stand up. Human bodies were designed to stand up. And it was kind of an obvious problem area to attack.
Extreme sports athlete Brandon Robbins was having trouble with what he called phantom pains in the area that used to be his lower leg, along with increased vulnerability to cramps along the other side of his leg. Alex Maggie attempted to address these concerns with his prototype.
The biggest opportunity I found was padding out there is really not meeting his specifications for his impact points, and also his electrotherapy was not really in with his day. So I developed riding armor with electrotherapy in it. So these are the Prime Pants Signature Series with the little signature on the side of Brandon. And we were able to talk with Brandon every week, every day if we wanted to, which was awesome. It was completely different from anything else we've done. But I feel like we really affected their lives, which was a big change for the other projects. So we kind of make up users and find a user scenario, but this was a true story.
Smith said this class really embodied the creative and unrelenting spirit of the UO, especially former track coach Bill Bowerman, who was famous for grilling shoes with his wife's waffle iron to make lightweight shoes that still maintain their grip on the track.
He says, if you have a body, you're an athlete. And that really responds, I think, to these athletes, to all of us, that if you are indeed an active person, that you have a right to participate in sport, and it's the whole idea of, can we create things that adapt, that enable a person to participate in sport?
The students' prototypes sparked plenty of discussion within the department about the future of athletic product design. But despite all of the innovative prototypes, from Will's stand-up chair to Brandon's Prime Pants, students and the instructors both acknowledged that the biggest thing they'll take away from this experience is the massive effect sport has on people's lives.
I've heard the term the healing power of sport. I think there really is a power in participation that kind of like brings you in a competitive place, into almost a place of like normalcy.
This healing power of sport was definitely on display when Lucas and Smith went to visit some of Will's teammates from the Paralympic rugby squad. Lucas said that when he asked some of the players what sports have done for them, many actually credited sports with saving their lives. For Oregon News, this is Dustin Turner reporting. Oregonians are getting fatter. This, according to a recent report released by the Oregon Health Authority that showed 60% of Oregon adults are either overweight or obese. This number has increased from just 40% since 1990, and officials blame a lack of exercise as well as poor nutritional habits. This has dietitians and nutritionists around the state concerned. Terry Williams, a dietitian at local Evergreen Nutrition, talked about the reasons behind this alarming trend.
One of the biggest factors is when they decided fat wasn't good for us, and we went to a diet that was fat-free, and in doing that, to make it taste good, they added a lot of sugar, which is not good for people who want to shed weight or maintain weight.
Surprisingly, the overweight and obesity numbers are pretty much evenly spread throughout all the economic classes, which suggests that it's not necessarily the quantity of food that is the problem, but rather the overall quality of ingredients.
Around the perimeter of the grocery store, that's where the real food is. And that's the problem. People aren't eating real food. They're eating what I call like fake food, manufactured food, food that doesn't resemble the things that your grandparents ate.
Williams also emphasized that it is up to individuals to take the initiative to combat the temptation of a $1 hamburger and start thinking more about what people put in their bodies. For Oregon News, I'm Dustin Turner.
The Oregon men's golf team finished third at national championships last week, capping off the best season in team history, and senior Eugene Wong was a big reason for their success.
Eugene Wong recently was awarded the Pac-12 Player of the Year in golf after winning once and finishing in the top 5 8 times in 11 events. This follows a disappointing up-and-down junior campaign for the Canadian-born Duck, who spent the summer of 2011 working on his game.
I worked on a lot of my iron game and my putting, because that's what happened. My junior wasn't very well. My irons were just way off. I didn't hit many greens. And putting was kind of off last year, and I worked hard, just those two aspects, and once those two aspects are better than before, that's what made me a better player.
The Oregon Ducks golf team is currently involved in NCAA regional play in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The Ducks have won 7 tournaments this year and are one of the favorites to win the national title. The Ducks are led by 4 seniors, and Wong credits this close-knit group with much of the team's success this season.
I guess helped us a lot because we pushed each other a lot, because if one goes down, it's like, I can't let him beat me, right? So basically, I think it's good competition. I mean, 4 people is perfect. Yeah, we compete a lot. I mean, we always have little games here and there. I mean, we always like, you beat me, can't do that. I gotta work harder to get you next tournament. And we always joke around with each other.
After losing in a playoff against Cal at Pac-12s, Eugene says the team can learn from this experience, and they have what it takes to win it all.
Because we have a lot of experience in our hands. My sophomore year, we went to match play, so we know what to expect. And I think we have a very good chance because we have a solid team.
Wine grape production is on the rise. Oregon's production has increased 33% this year, following an abysmal 2010 that still has some winemakers scratching their heads.
It was a very challenging year. Certainly one of the coolest on record in terms of, amounts of sunshine and heat units that we normally get required to ripen the fruit.
2010 was quite an anomaly. We were frosted, our vineyard was frosted early in the season for 2010, and we, as a consequence, had a far reduced yields. The frosts for 2010 pretty much hit us across the board. We were down on everything significantly.
So what can Oregon wine drinkers expect from this year's batch?
One of the things I love about Eugene and Oregon in general is, even though the seasons can be quite different and the fruit styles are quite different, you get these interesting different wines. They are certainly very different wines from 2010, 2011 and 2009. 2011 is looking like being a very strong year for reds, good structure, good acid. There'll be good age-worthy wines.
Planted behind me are the seedlings of Oregon's famous Pinot Noir grapes, by far the most farmed wine grape in the region. Production of these grapes went up
14% last year,
causing prices to decline and making winemakers and drinkers alike very happy. This is Dustin Turner for Oregon News.
Dustin, what's the weather looking like for the weekend?
Thanks, Mitch. Let's see if we can give people something to look forward to with our weekend forecast. We have a current temperature in Eugene of 58 degrees, as you can see. For those of you staying in town this weekend, you can expect some patches of sun on Saturday and Sunday with highs in the low to mid 60s, today being mostly cloudy. Reasonably low chance of rain this weekend, just 20% for all 3 days. So if you are in Eugene, it's a good chance to go catch that spring game, get out, and enjoy some sun. For anyone headed north to the Portland-Salem area, there are going to be some scattered showers today and possibly tomorrow, but it should clear up pretty nicely by the end of the weekend with highs in the low 60s again. And those thinking about a possible coastal getaway this weekend, I would caution you that Florence is going to see some showers today and they will continue on into the evening. However, it should clear up reasonably well the rest of the weekend, never really getting warm though with highs in the mid 50s. So if you're going to the coast, you'll find some fresh seafood, but you might not be so lucky with the weather. That's your forecast for the weekend. Now back to the news.
Thanks, Dustin.
Covering Eugene and Springfield, this is Oregon News.
Hello, I'm Dustin Turner.
And I'm Kyle Johnstone.
The jury in the John Edwards trial began deliberations this morning after hearing 17 days of testimony from both sides. They must decide if Edwards broke the law by using campaign contributions to conceal the existence of his pregnant mistress. Edwards is charged with conspiracy to violate the Federal Election Campaign Act, accepting contributions that exceed campaign finance limits, and causing his campaign to file a false financial disclosure report. Every year, the School of Journalism and Communications at the University of Oregon recognizes journalists who act ethically under pressure. And this year, 2 journalists who reported in Ethiopia were among the recipients of the Ethics Awards. Reporter Stephen Anderson takes us to this year's ceremony. For more information on the Payne Awards, visit the Journalism School website. If you want to know what happens when the inmates run the institution, it may be worth your time to check out the plays put on by the students at the University of Oregon's Pocket Playhouse. Virginia Rice has the story. The Eugene Parks Department is hoping to preserve the ecosystem along the south ridge of Spencer's Butte by adding a new trail. Kevin Samuelson gives us a closer look. If the grant is approved, park officials hope to have the new trail open by June of 2013. If you happen to be heading toward Yellowstone Park, there are some amazing hikes to be had there as well. And the University of Oregon has had a hand in creating a new guide to the Yellowstone experience. Mirelle Bassett explains. If you would like your own copy of an atlas, you can order it online or find it in bookstores across Oregon. There's a new farmers market in town. Residents of the Whitaker neighborhood are now able to enjoy a wide variety of local produce right at their doorstep. The new market opened last Sunday on the corner of 4th and Blair. With just 5 vendors setting up for the grand opening on May 6th, market organizers see the new location as a chance to expand on the availability of local growers to the neighborhood. The focus is on local produce, but organizers are looking to widen the selection to various meats and cheeses. The goal is not to compete with the Saturday Market or Lane County Farmers Market, but to make fresh produce available to those in an area where it wasn't available before. The new market has already gained popularity in the past 2 weeks, and organizers hope the number of market goers increases this Sunday for the 3rd week. The market will run every Sunday from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. For a fast lunch, nothing quite beats the originality and the price of a food cart entree. Intrepid reporters Mitch Earnshaw and Kyle Johnstone decided to sample some of the offerings. LeBron James roasted the Celtics last night in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals to the tune of 45 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists, keeping the Heat alive for at least one more night. They will play a Game 7 in Miami on Saturday. Preakness and Kentucky Derby winner I'll Have Another will be held out of Saturday's Belmont Stakes because of a tendon injury, meaning the long drought of Triple Crown winners will continue. The last horse to win all 3 legs of the Triple Crown was affirmed back in 1978. UEFA's Euro 2012 kicked off in Eastern Europe this morning with one of the host countries, Poland, taking on Greece. But the group to watch will easily be Group D, commonly known as the Group of Death, because of its 4 countries, Germany, Portugal, Denmark, and the Netherlands, all being ranked in the top 10, according to ESPN.com. The final will be played on July 1st at Olympic Stadium in Kiev.